Welcome to the podcast. My name is Max.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Mae, and we were had. Can you believe it?
There are twists and there are turns.
Defleshed is a standard death.
Oh, that's fun.
We were had.
We were.
All right, so today we are talking about the Watcher House in Westfield, New Jersey. So this is a pretty fun one. So in 2014, Derek and Mary Broaddus, it sounds like broad ass, and their three children,
Maybe a giggly one.
Yeah. Thought that they were moving into their dream home until a series of disturbing letters signed by an anonymous letter writer known as the, quote, Watcher scared them out of it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wait a second. This is in 2014. I didn't even realize this.
Yes, this is recent.
This is interesting.
Oh.
There hasn't been a movie made about this.
No, but actually, Netflix just bought the rights to this story. So
Another instance of
Coming
We Were
soon.
Had having their finger on the pulse, folks.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Broadduses. So
Okay.
did they move into this home? This original
briefly,
home?
briefly.
They did move into this
So
home.
I'll get into that. So the house is stunning. It's located at 657 Boulevard in a really well-to-do town of
657 Boulevard.
yeah.
So like no,
Is that
not,
just
it's
the
not
full-
a kind of. It's not like
That's not the address?
It's like
No, that's
657
the address.
That's like 657 Street.
I know, but that's what it's called. It's
Oh
like-
no, I trust you. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
It's just weird. I was
I'd
just
like
making
to say
a
that I
little-
don't trust you. I don't.
657 Boulevard.
But that, like, whatever. And it's in it's 657 Boulevard in Westfield, New Jersey. And it was $1.3 million. So big bummer that they got scared out of this $1.3 million house.
Yes.
Okay.
Not great. Side note, Westfield, New Jersey is also where John List famously murdered his entire family in 1971.
John List famously hosts a podcast with your boyfriend, right?
Yep. Same person, yes.
Yes. Okay. Same person.
What a comeback story.
I can't believe this guy who committed familicide is frequently in my apartment. Wow.
And with your cat, no less.
Oh my God. It's been 50 years.
Get over it.
Jesus.
You got to give people a path to redemption.
Oh,
I
God.
mean,
I believe in second chances.
No one knows. Has the word forgiveness just left the dictionary?
all right. So I actually misspelled.
You said broadass. The broadass.
Oh, you actually spelled it broad ass. I wonder if that was an autocorrect.
God, I am giggling.
She
so
says
much.
broad ass so many times on her phone that they're like, you're clearly
Yeah,
talking about
you
broad
clearly
ass.
just- yeah.
Okay, so before the Broaddus family moved in, they were planning on doing like a few renovations.
Right.
It's like an old ass house, whatever. So Derek, the father, is there painting, and he noticed that they had gotten some mail, which is kind of odd because they haven't even moved in yet. So there was this card-shaped envelope addressed in thick, clunky handwriting to the quote new owner. Mm-hmm. So he opens the note. And the note says, "Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. How did you end up here? Did 657 Boulevard call to you with its force within? 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now as it approaches its 110th birthday. I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched it in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? Do you know what lies within the walls of 657 Boulevard? Why are you here? I will find out."
Oh,
So he's like, what the fuck? So the letter then identified...
well written.
Yeah.
Usually these are there's some mistakes and
Yeah,
stuff.
no.
This is well written.
Well written, short, crisp sentences.
It tells
yeah.
a story.
I like it. So anyway, the letter identified the Broaddus's Honda minivan as well as the workers renovating the house. It says that I see you have flooded 657 Boulevard with contractors so that you can destroy the house as it was supposed to be. The person wrote, "Tisk, tisk, tisk, bad move. You don't want to make 657 Boulevard unhappy." Yikes.
Kind of a bitchy thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, not great.
You know what's weird that-
overreaching?
Tacky paint that you chose.
I find it weird that they opened the letter to begin with. Like, when you move into a new place and it would say something generic like
To the
new
new owner?
owner or whatever, I
I'd
would
toss that
never
right
open
out.
that.
I would. You wouldn't open it?
I don't think I open any of my mail.
I don't open mail. Yeah.
No,
right.
me neither. I get bills all the time. Pfft, trash.
You, thank you.
And it's not like this was a long time ago where like mail was a big deal. This was
Yeah.
only like 10 years ago.
2014.
6 years ago. 7 years ago.
I'd be curious,
years
I
ago.
guess.
9.
Yeah.
Holding up our paddles. Sold 9 years
So this is
ago.
still the original letter that says, like the first
Yeah.
letter says all this. Is there any more to it?
Yes Yes, I think so. Okay, so earlier in the week, Derek and Maria had gone to the house and chatted with some of the new neighbors, and their children. There was 3 children, 5, 8, and 10 years old, ran around the backyard with some kids from the neighborhood. And so the letter writer seemed to have noticed that. It went on to say, same letter, you have children. I have seen them. So far, I think there are 3 yet that I've counted.
Ah.
I know, I don't like this. The anonymous correspondent wrote before asking if there was more on the way.
Okay.
And then he went on to say, the letter says, do you need to fill the house with the young blood I requested?
Ah.
Better for me. Was your old house too small for the growing family? Or was it greed to bring me to your children? Once I know the names, I will call to them and draw them to me. Weird.
All the same letter?
All the same letter.
Okay.
So the envelope had no return address, and the person wrote, "Who am I?" There are hundreds and
That's
hundreds
one
of
secret
cars.
I'll never tell.
XOXO, the Watcher.
Yeah. Hundreds and hundreds of cars that drive by 657 Boulevard each day. Maybe I'm in one. Look at all the windows you can see from 657 Boulevard. Maybe I am in one. Look at any of the many windows at your house, blah, 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 at all the people who stroll by each day. Maybe I am one. The letter concluded with a suggestion that this message would not be the last. Welcome, my friends, welcome. Let the party begin, followed by a signature typed in cursive font, The Watcher.
I would get out of there right away.
The guy's got a brand.
The repetition, too, the maybe
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
in one, maybe I'm in one.
Maybe I'm in one.
Ooh,
I'm more the young
chilling.
blood that gets me.
The young blood, I don't like that.
Do we know that this is not a prank?
We don't. That's a theory. I mean, it's a fucking sick-ass prank. That's like harassment. That's not a funny,
It's not a fun prank.
Yeah.
Also, a child didn't write this, clearly. It's not like a fun kid welcoming you to the neighborhood with a little prank.
Right.
Unless it's like some disturbed 16-year-old across the street.
Yeah, there's a lot of those.
Yeah, let me tell you something. A lot of those.
A lot of those. I'm going to be so
Usually.
afraid of my own son. I'm going to be like, he's going to kill
This
us.
fucking kid, yeah, playing his video games.
Oh, yeah.
I don't trust them.
Dungeons and Dragons? Don't think so. Not in my house.
Not in my
We
house.
play football and eat meat.
Yeah. Fuck broads.
Fuck broads. Yeah. So maybe
All right.
there was one of them. Okay. So when he received the letter,
Where was the family? He was just in the home by himself? They were still in the other house?
they were still in the other house. Yeah. Sorry if it wasn't clear. So he was.
It wasn't clear, May.
So they're just
So
so they're just checking out the home. They're planning on moving in there soon. That's the idea.
he was there painting when he received
They were
the
painting.
letter.
Okay, yeah.
So
Right.
he was there painting and doing some renovations. I don't know why the fuck he was doing that at 10 p.m.
And also why he was doing it by himself on a
Yeah.
$1.3 million home.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
You can buy a fucking $1.3 million home, but you can't buy painters.
Derek, what do you want to do? What do you got? A nice hand? An idle hand? Or what? You're a big painter, Derek?
Yeah, maybe
Is
he
he?
was cheating on his wife. There.
Yeah, he was fucking.
Yeah, it was fucking wild
So
speculation.
he's having an affair and he just makes up this whole letter in the entire Watcher. That's the secret
Yes.
of it.
It took us
That's my theory.
approximately 5 minutes to accuse the victims, once again, of being the real problem in the story.
Well, when you're fucking around on your wife, what do you expect to happen?
Honey, where were you? I was painting at 10 p.m.
At 10 p.m.
No.
Yeah. And there was a letter.
You wouldn't believe.
The Watcher.
So I'm reading this article and it says that he was like racing around the house, turning off the lights so nobody could see inside. Which I'm like, wouldn't that make it scarier? I don't know, whatever.
Yeah,
And I would not have done that at all. I would have gotten in my car and driven to my fucking old house. Hello. But he called the Westfield Police Department. An officer came over, read the letter, and according to this article, said, "What the fuck is this?"
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a Jersey cop right there.
Yeah. So he asked Derek obvious questions like, do you have any enemies? And he recommended moving a piece of construction equipment in the back porch just in case the quote Watcher tried to toss it through a window. I'm like, what are you the Watcher? He's
Thanks,
like,
copper.
yeah, just in case I destroy your home, you might want to remove some of this
Listen, you can
equipment.
use that hammer to get in there.
Crazy. So anyway, so he came back to his wife and kids after fucking around on them, who were living in their own old home, elsewhere in Westfield, sorry. And so that night, Derek and Maria, the husband and the wife, wrote an email to John and Andrea Woods, who were the couple that sold them 657 Boulevard.
Okay.
So they asked them, like, do you have any idea who this might be, why they had written this? And they asked, like, or why she had written like, I asked the woods to bring me young blood, and it looks like they listened. Apparently that was in it. Yeah. So Andrea Woods, the previous owner, replied the next morning. So a few days before they had moved out, the Woodses also received a letter from the quote watcher. Would have been nice to have been told that information.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying that house if I'm told about that. Although that could make the sale null. I don't know if New Jersey is, but in New York, there's a lot of laws.
Yeah, they have separate clauses for if a stalker writes you letters.
In New York City, there's a
Actually-
Ghostbusters clause. If you believe that there's ghosts, you have to tell somebody.
Get out.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's-
did not know that.
That's really funny. But actually, so they tried to sue them after this, and it's unsuccessful because in New Jersey, they don't have that. They didn't see that it was.
Had to go fucking Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah. They're like, when the mob threatens you, you have to still buy my house. I
Listen,
don't
one
fucking-
more reason to stay in the city, folks.
Yep.
Oh, I guess that. Okay, got it.
Yep. So, she went on to say, the old owner, she said that the note had been odd. Yeah, like no fuck. And made a similar mention of the Watcher's family observing the house over time. But Andrea said she and her husband had never received anything like it in the 23 years in the house, and they had thrown the letter away without much thought.
They received a letter that said, "Give us some new blood," and they were like,
I don't
"What?"
trust that. I feel like
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
like they were on the fence about selling the place. They got the letter and they're like, well, that's a sign.
Yeah.
Like, we got to.
Or was this family always there, and is there like some sort of deeper thing? You know, these
Oh, you're
fucking-
saying this family, the old family, is involved somehow.
maybe not involved, but
Maybe.
they knew about the Watcher. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
Well,
weird.
definitely a few days before. Sure.
So they were helpful, though. So that day, the Woodses, the old owners, went with Maria, the new owner, to the police station where they met Detective Leonard Lugo, who told her not to tell anyone about the letters, including her new neighbors, because obviously the neighbors are suspects. So the poor family, the Broadduses, spent the next coming weeks on super high alert, obviously. Like Derek actually canceled a work trip. Yeah, that he was going to go around with coolers.
a work trip.
This fucking
He couldn't
guy.
fuck around for one weekend. Probably
Yeah,
stayed home
God
and hit his
forbid.
wife. Go ahead.
Yeah. Stayed home to beat the shit out of his wife and write anonymous letters threatening his children. Fucking asshole.
Why are we even continuing? We figured it out.
This is our most unhinged yet.
No, I mean, you just brought in the domestic abuse.
Listen, that's an honest. It's an honest connection.
That was it.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
Can't believe Ben is denying domestic
Yeah, I don't know
abuse.
why you're defending him. I'd like to know why you're defending this man and everything that he's done.
Okay, so the Broaddus' general contractor arrived one morning to find that a heavy sign he had hammered into the front yard had been ripped out overnight. So people are fucking with this house.
Why are they putting up cameras? It's 2014.
Yeah. Good
It's the
question.
first thing you do.
Yeah, he eventually did, but I guess not immediately. I don't know. Whatever. So
We're all hindsight's 2020, you know.
I guess. I had my apartment broken into, and I still don't have a camera. Isn't that crazy?
It's dumb, yeah.
Don't break into my apartment, guys. Thanks.
Wait, your new apartment? No.
There's no cameras in my new apartment.
But you
I
got
guess-
broken into at your new apartment?
Oh, my old one.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
The new apartment's harder to break into.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
It's a few floors up.
Yeah, try me, idiots.
They will try you.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I actually think our door is unlocked right now because I don't have my keys. Okay, so
Thank God it's not live.
The address is 650 Lane or Street.
657 Boulevard.
I'm looking up 657
Oh my
Boulevard on Google
God.
Maps because they're so generic. It's crazy. Please continue, though.
all right. So 2 weeks after the first letter arrived, Maria stopped at the house to look at some paint samples and check the mail.
Not only does it exist, but there's like one of them in every single town in New Jersey. So I apologize.
Yeah, suck it, Ben.
That would be weird, though, if it was gone and it was like
Okay,
disappeared.
this house is enormous.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
It's
a really
almost
nice
4,000 square feet. It says has 25 baths, but that can't be correct.
25
Cannot be
baths.
But it's a beautiful
25
home.
half
Although it
baths.
does- it does- no,
Oh,
No showers. Just
Also,
25.
that's pretty cheap for a house that big.
This is American Horror Story vibes, though.
Yeah, but it's huge.
I mean,
It's huge. And it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Crazy big.
Yeah.
It last sold. It went. You're not gonna believe it, but it plummeted. It last sold for $950K.
Ooh,
Might I say? Nice paint job.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's 100% less expensive than nearby properties. Maybe because there's a watcher. It says that. 100% less expensive than nearby properties.
Wow.
That's crazy. And according to this article I read, it's like the grandest house in the neighborhood.
I'm sure, but
Yes, I mean, it's
you know what? You're attracting a lot of attention, I guess.
Uh-oh.
All right, let's
Okay.
continue.
So 2 weeks after the first letter arrived, she stopped by to look at some paint samples, yada, yada. She recognized the thick black lettering on a card-shaped envelope again, and she immediately called the police this time. So they opened the note together, and the note said, "Welcome again to your new home at 657 Boulevard," the watcher wrote. The workers have been busy, and I have been watching you unload carfuls of your personal belongings. The dumpster is a nice touch. Have they found what's in the walls yet? In time they will.
Boo.
Bodies?
Money?
Money, bodies.
That'd be good.
Oh yeah, money would be great.
Yeah, it could be like a watcher kind of thing that this other creepy family knows there's like some sort of treasure in the walls. They're waiting for their chance to get in there.
If you buy a house and you find money in the walls,
That's yours.
That's just
yours.
your money.
That's legally your money. That's legally your
so this person's just trying to do this family a solid.
It feels like, yeah, that's exactly what's happening here. The watcher's clearly on their team here.
Yeah.
Totally hinged, not at all unhinged.
No, very hinged.
Yeah. Well,
all right. Oh, they
adjusted.
misspelled their name. Sorry, I'm reading ahead.
Yes.
So we're
Okay.
just going to read everything word for word here on this sheet in front of us?
You're correct. Yeah. Yes.
Great.
Yes.
It's only
Everyone
11
else has the
pages.
next
So
8 hours free,
yeah.
right?
So this time, the watcher has addressed Derek and Maria directly, misspelling their names as Mr. and Mrs. Broaddus. Don't they know it's Broaddus? And the watcher boasted of having learned a lot about the family in the preceding weeks, especially about their children. The letter identified the Broaddus' 3 kids by birth order and by their nicknames.
No, that's not good.
No.
And they said, "I am pleased to know your names now and the names of the young blood you have brought me." The letter asked about one child in particular whom the writer had seen using an easel inside an enclosed porch. Is she the artist in the family?
No. You don't bring the kids into it.
So do you...
Fuck the parent.
None of this. Are they starting to... I mean, the neighbors are the obvious suspects, right?
Yeah. And police are going around like asking questions to people, but they haven't really narrowed in, and they're not really being that helpful. Like
The neighbors or the police?
the police, go figure.
I'll call
But-
Ripley's.
Yeah. The police said basically they were like, well, nothing's probably going to happen. And they were like, are you fucking kidding? Like, probably is not good enough for us.
Yeah, the only quote that we have from this is the policeman just being like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, literally.
It was
Cops
just-
are like, this is fucking weird.
And then he said, end quote.
Yeah.
Oh, gee,
Get the fuck out of here.
I'd be scared to live here if I was you, You guys should fucking move.
All right, so the letter continued on. 657 Boulevard is anxious for you to move in. It has been for years and years since the young blood ruled the hallways of the house. Have you found all of the secrets it holds yet? Will the young blood play in the basement, or are they too afraid to go down there alone? I would be very afraid if I were them. It is very far away from the rest of the house. If you were upstairs, you would never hear them scream. And the cops are like,
can't
it's
move
admitted,
on.
whatever.
You can't
That's
move
just
into
fucking weird.
this.
Yeah.
You can't move in.
They did.
You can't stay there.
Yeah.
You can't stay there. You never hear them scream? Could be a parasite situation. A family living in the basement.
They haven't moved in yet. And
What do you mean they're not living there?
They're not living there yet. They're still doing like
No, I
renovations
think
and
Max is saying the three of us saw Parasite together and Mae was asleep for most of it, which
Oh,
is why
yeah.
she doesn't get the reference.
Yeah.
But I think
She was drunk again.
shit. I was drunk again. Remember how red my eyes were?
I know.
Oh, I was fucked up.
But you're saying there was already a family.
I'm saying, yeah, maybe it's
yeah,
one of those
there's
situations.
already a family in the basement.
Living in the basement
Oh.
situation. Could be one of those situations.
Oh, that's the plot of Parasite. Okay.
Well,
I'm
I just
kidding.
remember.
I'm just kidding. I saw some parts of it.
I think Mae saw the beginning, fell asleep for about an hour, and that's a weird movie to miss the middle.
She thought it was a
chunk.
fun family romp.
Yeah, right.
And then it turned into a murder mystery.
I was like, what? I woke up and that person was stabbing them. I was like, who's this guy?
fun.
Spoilers. Okay, so it goes on to say, this is a long ass letter, sorry. It goes, will they sleep in the attic or will you all sleep on the second floor? I'm not fucking
You're
telling
just
you.
going room by room.
Yeah. Or will you sleep on the third?
Yeah.
Who has the bedrooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me to know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better. No.
Terrible.
All the windows and doors of 657 Boulevard allow me to watch you and track you as you move throughout the house. Who am I? I am the watcher and have been in control of 657 Boulevard for the better part of 2 decades now. The Woods family turned it over to you. It was their time to move on and kindly sold it when I asked them to.
Can I say he's getting a little repetitive now?
Yeah, I'm kind of over it. It's like, Jesus.
At first he like repeats and it's effective, but now it's
he thinks he's like, he loves the sound of his own voice.
Or he just like forgot what he wrote in the first letter.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, keep up. Make a photocopy, you know what I mean? All right. So I pass by many times a day. 657 Boulevard is my job, my life, my obsession. All right.
Loser.
Well, you're not getting paid for that.
Yeah.
And now you are too, Broaddus family. Welcome to the product of your greed.
What?
Greed is what brought me the past 3 families to 657 Boulevard, and now it has brought you to me. Have a happy moving in day. You know I'll be watching.
XOX.
XOXO the Watcher.
This is just a creepier Gossip Girl.
It's crazy.
They start referring to Broaddus as just B.
Yeah. Hey, B. Is D home or is it just M?
So obviously, like, they stopped bringing their kids over to the house because they were like, I don't know what the fuck, obviously, and they were no longer sure if they would or like if they would ever move in. And so several weeks later, a 3rd letter arrived that simply said, "Where have you gone to? 657 Boulevard is missing you."
I'm sorry. So this was. Have they officially moved in yet?
No.
Okay.
So the letters
And the
were,
police, did they question the neighbors, being like, have you heard about this?
Yeah.
And after the second letter, you should bring in the Woods to the police station and interrogate them.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah.
This guy's implicating the Woodses.
Yes.
And if they lived there for years, let me tell you something. I have some poignant questions to ask them.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't really know the story with the Woodses in terms of like kids and stuff like that. Maybe it's one of the Woods kids who are like upset that their family's moving.
Oh.
Wow.
Because kids get really upset
They do. Yeah.
when the family moves and all that. I got upset when my family moved and I wasn't even living there.
Are you watching the old apartment?
Yes.
Watching like this, watching?
Yeah.
I wasn't, but
This is a good idea.
I didn't have. Yeah, I'm just not original enough.
Now
I know it's something to do.
It's a fun way to spend your time.
It's a romp.
You know? So the letters had been processed in nearby Kearney, which is a distribution center in northern New Jersey. And the first one was June 4th, before the sale was actually public. So the Woodses had never actually put up a sale, like a for sale sign. And only a day, they really didn't put it up except for when the contractors arrived.
Okay.
So, blah, blah, blah. They talked in the letters a little bit about the renovations that were mostly internal, and neighbors said that you couldn't really hear them. So maybe they're thinking, is this watcher, inside the fucking house?
Yeah.
I don't know. Had to be someone in the area, basically. So, like we had been talking about, the cops were really not doing much to protect them, and so frustrated, the Broadduses began their own investigation. So Derek became super obsessed. He finally set up webcams, you fucking ass. Jesus. And, you broad ass. And he spent nights crouched in the dark waiting to see if anyone was watching the house at close range. He says, my wife thought I was crazy. So... they also employed a private investigator who staked out the neighborhood and ran several background checks on neighbors who didn't find anything noteworthy.
Jesus.
I know, right? He even reached out to a former FBI agent who served as the inspiration for Clarice Starling in The Silence of the Lambs.
Whoa, we got Clarice.
They got
We
Clarice.
Wow.
So apparently they knew each other from some high school board of trustees together. I don't know. They also hired Robert Lenahan, who's another former FBI agent, to conduct a threat harassment. The envelope was addressed to M.M. Broaddus, and the salutations included things like the day's weather, like warm and humid, sunny, cool summer day, whatever. And the sentences had double spaces between them. So the letters, like we talked about, they had a certain literary panache and suggested a avid reader and surprising lack of profanity given the level of anger and threats. So he was thinking we think our guy is a less macho writer, somebody who's kind of squirrely. And he actually said, he was like, I wonder if the Watcher had seen The Watcher starring Keanu Reeves as a serial killer who stalks the detective trying to catch him.
That's fucking lame.
That's lame. It's like, Lenahan, get your head out of your
So
ass.
did anything?
Let's focus here.
Did they keep getting letters for a long time? Did they end up moving in? And did anything bad ever happen? Was
No,
there ever
they-
a break-in or anything?
They did not move in. So they actually, they only had the house for like 5 months, and they never actually moved in because they were like, we're not going to fucking get killed by this
As
Watcher.
well they
like,
should, yeah.
hello. And they never figured out who was sending these letters. But there's a few possible suspects.
And no one lives in this house now.
Not that I know of. Or somebody was renting for a little while.
I can't believe they didn't figure it out if they had Clarice. She's amazing.
Yeah, Clarice would have had this done in a second.
No, but she was there. No? She botched it.
Well, if they didn't move in, what's Clarice supposed to do?
Have you seen the movie? She'd find a way.
Have you seen the movie? She turns the lights off, and then it's like a
Oh,
pitch
what
black
a
fight.
scene. What a
Good scene.
movie.
There's no reason why she shouldn't have gotten shot in that scene, though.
No.
Got very lucky.
All right, so let's go through some possible Watchers that they did narrow in on. So Westfield.
I want to know if somebody's living in this house, and if somebody was renting it. What the fuck? Oh, but here, Realtor.com. The property history. Property was sold thrice in the last 31 years.
Okay.
All right. So this was in 2014?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So renovated, sold for it was sold for $370,000 in 1990. And then the next update is, May 20th, 2014, renovated, remodel. Then it was sold in June 6th, 2014 for $1.3 million.
Yeah.
Renovated. Then it was listed in February 2015 for $1.5 million.
Yeah, that's them.
That's them. Mm-hmm. And then the price changed to 1.39. Then the price changed to 1.35. Then the price changed to 1.2. Then the price changed to 1.1. Then the price dropped a little bit farther. Then it listed for $9.99, and then it was sold for $9.50 on July 5th,
God,
2019.
Imagine being the realtor on that house. I'd be like, you got to be kidding me.
It sold for $600K less than asking after all the remodels.
That's insane.
Which
If you're the real estate,
tracks-
are you legally obliged to explain this entire story?
I think if they made
know.
it this fucking public, though, it probably would have
Yeah.
been hard to hide it. You know,
Yeah.
the Woods has had the sense to not go fucking public, just let the Watchers be creeps, jerk off outside.
Well, that's the problem. So they're talking about the Watcher being inside the house, which I suppose is possible, but really it could just be anyone outside the house. And even though the letter says like, oh, it's my job, it's my obsession, whatever, they could just check in for 5 minutes every day.
Yeah, and somehow know the names of their children and stuff like that.
Right. I mean, you don't have to be there though for like,
Yeah.
it's not like, you know what I mean?
Right. The only thing that they would have to know about the interior is like they were making renovations in the interior, and like the neighbors on the outside said that they didn't hear any of the construction on the inside, and they were saying like specifics about the inside of the house.
Could be.
So maybe broke in like for 5 minutes.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, they
maybe
wrote
that,
articles
yeah.
about it. The Watcher house in New Jersey is finally sold.
Yeah.
Infamous
Snarling.
Westfield, the home.
So, going through a few possible suspects and people of interest. So, people were thinking maybe like when they bought it, it was just somebody who was really bitter that they outbidded.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that. I don't know.
Okay.
It's plausible. That's one option. The other one was this creepy family in the neighborhood. So they were the Langford family. And at one point, Derek was chatting with John Schmidt, who lived 2 doors down. And Schmidt told him about the Langfords, who lived between them. So Peggy Langford was in her 90s, and several of her adult children, all in their 60s, lived with her. So, like, that would mean it would make sense for them to be like, we've been watching the house for decades.
Right.
So he went on to say that the family was a bit odd, but harmless, he thought at least. He described one of the younger Langfords, Michael, who didn't work and had a beard like Ernest Hemingway, as kind of a Boo Radley character. So they were like, this is obviously our guy. So Derek thought the case was closed. Langford House was right next to the easel on the porch. They've lived there since the 60s. You know, it made a lot of sense, basically. But then they told Detective Lugo about the family. The guy was like, what the fuck is this? And he was like, yeah, I already know. And a week after the first letter arrived, he brought Michael Langford to the police headquarters for an interview, and Michael denied knowing anything about the letters. And Lugo's like, okay.
That's it?
Yeah, I mean, it was probably him. But the Broadduses say that Lugo told them that the narrative of what he said matched things that mentioned in the letters. He was like, but this isn't CSI Westfield. He's like, when the wife is dead, usually it's the husband. And if I didn't find that this guy was guilty, like, he's not guilty. I'm like, okay. Huh. Kind of feels like it was that guy.
Yeah, Jesus.
Yeah, I'm not satisfied with this one.
No. Also, Derek told this article, which I thought was funny, that he told the cops that if they didn't take care of this situation, they would have a different kind of case on their hands. He goes, this person attacked my family and where I'm from. If you do that, you get your ass beat.
Oh, so now Derek's getting
Derek's
aggressive.
a tough guy? Is he threatening the cops or is he just threatening, like...
I don't know what. I think
Is he threatening the Watcher?
I think he's threatening Michael. He's like, I'm going to beat your fucking ass.
beat your ass,
yeah.
Langford.
Mm-hmm. So... the third theory that I have is that the Broadduses themselves wrote the letters.
Okay.
So they could lose $400,000 over the course of several years. They're playing the long game. You got to respect it, folks.
It's fun. They were having fun.
Okay.
So in the spring of 2016, they put it on the market like we were talking about, hoping it might garner more interest.
We've been just... Max just turned the light on.
She's been reading this article for so long the sun is
yes.
fully down.
Come on. And so they actually had a really well-attended open house. And, they actually, Derek and Maria spent hours researching every person who signed in and comparing their handwriting to the Watchers because they were like, I feel like the Watcher's going to come by our open house. Basically they had a few potential buyers and people would read the letters and back out, which makes a lot of sense. And then Derek said some cocky guy from Staten Island said, fuck it, I'm going to get the house at a discount. And then he read the letters and we never heard from him again. So feeling as if they were out of options, the Broaddus' real estate lawyer proposed an idea. He's like, why don't you sell it to a developer and we could tear it down and split the property into 2 sellable homes and they can get $1 million for the lot. So the proposal was publicly announced, and once that happened, Westfield's Facebook groups lit up. A bunch of fucking people with too much time on their hands. And some people expressed sympathy for them, but others pointed out that real estate's always a gamble. And they were basically saying, like, you were in over your head, and this is a whole scam to, like, unload this house you could never afford. Mm-hmm. So they think that they bought this house they couldn't afford and were trying to get out of it.
Immediately?
Yeah.
Why? Immediately?
I don't know.
Maybe they lost their job?
I don't know. No, they didn't know. Not that I saw, anyway.
Why would you buy a house you can't afford?
Why would anybody let you buy a house you can't afford? I mean,
and then
that's so 90s.
Well, what was this, 2014?
2014.
I
Which
feel
is
like
the whole crisis,
the
but that
goal
was 6
should
years
be
earlier.
to resell it for
that
more
was
money.
the whole thing, right?
They also weren't able to sell it. If you made it something so public and terrible that they wouldn't be able to unload the house because you made it a murderer after you or some sort of massive creep.
Yeah. Well, I mean, totally, but
look at me defending the victims like a hero.
Yeah. But
come a long way in 25 minutes.
Per his typical, Facebook conversations were like, sounds like this whole Watcher thing was a ploy. It's like a ploy for, I don't know.
Yeah,
Nancy,
I don't get the...
Nancy, get out of here.
I hate Facebook.
Literally. The owners are good people, not a ploy, people wrote back. And a bunch of their friends, like Kristen Kemp, this woman who was a friend of them, tried to defend them. And people were like yelling at her, basically like, how do we know it's not them writing the letters? It's like, it doesn't... What is going on?
Because it doesn't add up. Yeah.
Yeah. So the board turned down the option to tear down the house and build 2, but they were able to rent out the house to a family, as I've said. And the renter told the Star Ledger that he wasn't worried about the Watcher. Like, you fucking maybe should be. Though he had a clause in the lease that let him out in case there was another letter. So you are worried about the Watcher.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So 2 weeks later, Derek went to 657 to deal with squirrels that had taken up residence in the roof, and the renter handed him a letter that had just arrived. Violent winds and bitter cold to the vile and spiteful Derek and his wench of a wife, Maria. So,
Wench?
Yeah, wench. I don't know. This guy's poetic. So the letter, which was 2.5 years later, after the Watcher appeared, came out of nowhere, and it was dated February 13th, the day that the Broadduses gave dispositions to their lawyer against the Woodses, because they had sued them, like I said, saying, like, you didn't disclose this to us before we came in. Mm-hmm. You wonder who the Watcher is. Turn around, idiots, the letter said. Maybe you even spoke to me, one of the so-called neighbors who has no idea who the Watcher could be, or maybe you do know and you're too scared to tell anyone. Good move.
Maybe... Oh, wait, so the Watcher's saying maybe you, the Broadduses, know?
That's what it's saying.
Who
Okay.
he or she is.
Yeah.
Okay, Jesus Christ.
I mean,
Just
whatever.
the motives are all over the place.
I
in this.
know.
Yeah.
I watched as you watched from the dark house in an attempt to find me. Telescopes and binoculars are wonderful inventions.
Oh.
My soldiers of the boulevard followed my orders to a T. They carried out their mission and saved the soul of 657 Boulevard with all my orders. All hail the Watcher. Jesus Christ. The renter was mentioned, and he was spooked, but he agreed to stay, which I'm like, what?
What if he was the Watcher?
Oh.
Now that's a guy with a motive.
That's the guy with
That's
the motive.
interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So he could get to live in the house.
Yes.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That's interesting.
So one last thing that the letter said.
You should have been the star of Silence of the Lambs.
I know. Call me Clarice.
I already knew.
So this is the last thing that the Watcher said. It said that revenge could come in many forms. Revenge for what? I don't fucking know. Maybe a car accident, maybe a fire, maybe something as simple as a mild illness that never seems to go away but makes you feel sick day after day, day after day after day. Maybe the mysterious death of a pet. Loved ones silently die. Planes and cars and bicycles crash. Bones break. And that's the last we've heard of the Watcher.
When was the last time that they received that? Because this is still ongoing.
This was in
This family will never
February
be comfortable
13.
again.
No, and they actually said in the article, which I didn't include in the notes, but they basically were like, we think about this every day.
Why
Like,
wouldn't
we have
you?
fucking
Sure.
PTSD from this
I
thing.
hope they moved like across the country or something.
I don't know where they're living.
I'm
but
not
they
staying in
should.
fucking Westfield after this. Let me tell you that.
No.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Yeah, oh, it's terrible.
But it's so interesting that they never saw anybody suspicious.
I know. Well, I mean, that Langford guy
Yeah, the
was.
Boo Radley guy.
Yeah, the Boo Radley guy.
The Boo Radley man. But Boo Radley didn't end up doing it.
Spoiler.
Oh,
Also, the police were like, oh, he said he didn't know it. So I was like, okay. Like, that's literally it. This detectives
fucking
in these
Lugo,
towns.
man.
I think it's Lugo. Maybe it's Lugo.
Could have been Lugo.
Could have been
Yeah.
Lugo.
Could have been the renter. The renter is an
The
interesting
renter's
one.
a fun theory.
Yeah.
I kind of still like my theory, not to bring back my own theory, but I kind of like the idea of like the Woods' kid being like, I don't want to move.
I like that
But
too.
then I don't know why he's continuing the
Did
whole
the Woodses
thing.
have kids though? Do you even know that? Or did
That
you
I
make
don't
that
know.
up?
That
I don't even know that, but let's go with it. Yeah. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that sounds good. That has legs. That theory has legs.
That theory has legs.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If you're allowed to make up a child, you might as well make them creepy and older with a grudge.
That is
Yeah.
what I did. Yes.
Yeah, and a darkness about them that you can't really
it's always-
explain.
there's
Yeah.
a darkness. Look at their eyes. Never
Yeah.
fully focus right.
Yeah, there's something.
There's always something missing.
Yeah, yeah.
A soul, really.
wrong.
Did we just write a movie?
Yep.
I think that would be a good movie.
Yeah, Netflix. We're available.
And I think you do bring in the FBI agent, and like it's part of the movie where it's like, I think she's good. Clarice Starling was based off of her.
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
you include that.
Well, let me
Oh,
ask you
that's
this:
fun.
Netflix bought the rights to this. That's great. Very interesting. I'm happy they did. But what's the ending here? Because this movie's not over. Let me tell you that right now.
True.
Maybe
I
they'll
mean,
make
if you ever saw
something
the
up.
movie Zodiac, sometimes they can pull off the
Yeah, but
we don't know ending.
But the criminal still did a lot of crime. You know what I mean? In this, nothing ever actually happened to the family other than the horrible traumatic experience of receiving these letters and then losing the home and $400,000.
Yeah.
But other than that, they never got like attacked. Nobody ever broke into the house. No, they never actually saw somebody.
Yeah. I feel like for the movie, they'd have to make up some of that. Like you look out the window and you see somebody staring there, and then you look back
Yeah,
and he's
it's
not
like-
there.
or
It'd
it's
have
like
to
Oh
Make
wait,
it
is it
feel
going to be a
like-
doc or is it going to be a movie?
I think it's gonna be a movie.
This is a movie. I mean, this is a movie.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it can be.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, if it's a doc, then it could be like the Jinx or something, where they're hoping that something happens during the process of making it.
Lugo's like,
fun.
well, they never deserved the house. Nobody deserves that house. It's like,
yeah. Whoa! It is coming down outside.
yeah, it's really
Oh,
storming.
talk about a freaking mile on. I
Oh
gotta go
my
to
Oh
Brooklyn.
my God. That looks like they're just dumping water out of
It
there.
really does.
It's the Watcher.
It's the Watcher.
We've
He's
asked too many
pissed.
questions.
All right, guys, fucking nuts. We were had or girl.
the Watcher.
Yeah, let me tell you something. They weren't that macho of
They
a,
weren't that
of a writer.
macho.
weren't that macho. of
The
a-
Watchette.
Certain words in here that no man would write.
yes, yes.
Isn't that a crazy story though?
Amazing.
All right, fun
I like that
times.
one.
Wonderful. Toodaloo.
Bye.